Welcome to the Maine Forest and Logging Museum in Bradley, Maine. We have a special treat today. We have here a gasoline Lombard. This particular machine was made approximately 1932. We're not quite sure exactly the year, simply because the Lombard records that have survived are very sketchy. But it's gasoline powered. The original engine that it had was a great big Wisconsin D4. It was 5 3/4 inch bore, 6.5 inch stroke. It produced a whole whopping 145 horsepower. Now, you may think that that's not much, that your car probably has more horsepower than that, but it's another factor that makes this machine so awesome, and that's the amount of torque. Because at 1200 RPM, it produces over 700 foot-pounds of torque. And it allows this machine... So these machines were designed to haul long sled trains of pulpwood, up to 200 tons. And that's what that torque did, that 700 foot-pounds of torque. By the time you multiplied it through the gears and through the track system, you had a lot of power. So this tractor weighs, it's rated at 10 tons. They call it a 10-ton log hauler. The actual weight is just shy of 19,000 pounds. And originally, these machines were designed for hauling pulpwood on ice-covered logging roads. And the pulpwood would have been loaded on sleds and they'd have been joined together in long trains. As such, originally, it would have had a set of skis on the front. But Lombard also offered tires as well, that you could convert it to wheels. Originally, these would have been wagon-style wheels with wood spokes and iron rims. Being a later model Lombard, this one has pneumatic tires, which is a blessing. So, while Lombard did not invent the crawler track system, what he did do in 1900, he developed a viable crawler track system and offered it for the first time commercially. And in fact, Lombard would produce crawler systems for the next 30 plus years. So as we're looking at this machine, we can see a good example of his system. This is based on his 1917 patent. And up here we've got our front sprocket. Our drive is actually through the rear sprocket. There's actually a worm gear differential. Now, if you're looking at this and you look at a modern bulldozer or excavator, you'll see that there's what they call Bogie wheels, and those are usually steel. What Lombard did is he used a roller chain, and it's a unique system, and it actually works very, very well. Later on, some of his machines, such as his Contractor Special, some machines that were made specifically to work in nothing but dirt and gravel, etc., they actually had a Bogie wheel system. Now, this is an adaptation of the same system he used on his steam Lombards that he started developing in 1900s. So here we have our transmission. In front of the transmission, we have a 5-plate clutch that was of Lombard's own design. We have the drive shaft, and we also have our worm rear end. Our transmission is a 3-speed, and if you look at the shift diagram, our high-tech shift diagram on the dash, you'll see that third and second are closest to the driver rather than first and second. And the reason that is because when these machines were operating, first would have been used to start a heavy load. You'd primarily drive in second and third. So for the convenience of the driver, they put them closer to him. So unlike the steam Lombard, this machine actually has brakes. In this case, it's this drum brake right here. We have a very simple cast iron shoe and a steel drum. It's actually fairly effective. And of course, this is our differential, which is worm drive, which is smooth. It's also self-locking. It won't roll on you. Now, these tractors were geared from anywhere between top speed of 8 miles an hour to 10 miles an hour, depending upon what ratio you wanted. Now, that doesn't seem very fast, but when you've got a long, like 12 sled loads of pulpwood behind you, that can seem extremely fast. In fact, on the hills, they would spread hay, etc., to try to slow the sleds down so they wouldn't jackknife. So here we've got our fuel tank, and what's special about a fuel tank? Well, this one's 67 gallons of fuel. And this tractor needed it because working under full throttle, you go through at least 8 gallons of fuel per hour. So unlike my MG, which had precision rack and pinion steering, this has a very crude chain steering. While we do have kingpins, the steering arms are actually chains. And if you look back here, you can see that our steering column comes down with a pinion gear, and you've got a simple windlass that tightens one chain and loosens another. Now, it may seem that this won't work too effectively, but you know, it steers pretty good for something with 5,000 pounds of weight on the front of it. So one of the advantages of the Lombard system over that of a Holt or a Best or a Caterpillar is that the system's articulated. For instance, you can see this trunnion right here. This whole shoe rocks, and it rocks independently of the other side, so the tracks will follow the contour of the land. If you tried with an early Holt or Best tractor to go over rough terrain, with that rigid track system, it would plunge and rear, and it would actually break the drawbars of the sleds. So these were known as an auto type tractor, whereas like a Holt or Best tractor of the day back in the 1900s, 1920s, those were called a full track machine. And why this is an auto type tractor? Because it's a half track. And one of the advantages of the half track system is allowed these tractors to travel much faster, longer distances than you ever could with a full track tractor such as a Holt or a Best. They would, again, the top speed would be anywhere between 8 to 10 miles an hour, depending upon the road and the condition of the roads. In operation, typically the Holts and the full track early crawler tractors, those would be used to yard logs and to range the sleds. This baby right here could haul up to 20 miles without any problem at a high speed. So here we are in the cab of this beast. And here, obviously, we got our steering wheel, we've got our throttle quadrant. Over on the left-hand side, we've got our spark advance with a magneto. We have the left pedal is our clutch, so that 5-plate clutch. We've also got a foot brake. Now this machine's been modified a little bit. It's got a foot pedal, but this is our service brake, so that if we're running down the road, we want to retard the progress of the machine, we can just press that. We also have a handbrake here as well. But this handbrake works different than what you have in a car or normal tractor. This handbrake goes on when you push it forward, and it's also tied with the brake pedal. This is our Gearshift lever. Again, we have 3 speeds, first, second, and third. As you can see up here, it's a little reverse of what you'd normally find. First is over and down to the right, second is over to the left and up, and so forth. And again, normally you'd be running in second and third gear. Now this machine is key start. Originally would have had a push button, but what's really cool about this, when I hit the button, it starts. Unlike the steamer that takes 4 hours. And yes, these are important. Ready? Also be hand cranked over, but you know what? I don't think it would be fun. But we'll give it a try.